Welcome to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. So glad you could join us. I'm your host, Michael Vega. Glad to be joined on the dais here by my main man, Al Prizzuti, and so much to discuss with you here now that it's the height of the fall season, football season, and so much excitement here in Milton, revolving around your undefeated Milton Wildcats, who improved to 6-0 last Friday night with a huge 41-7 win at Needham. The Wildcats giving up an early touchdown, but coming back. Tour de force performance by Owen McHugh, Michael Fulton, that defense as well. The Wildcats winning 41-7, scoring 41 unanswered. Owen McHugh, as I mentioned, throwing 5 touchdowns, 4 of them to Michael Fulton. So congratulations to Coach Steve Dembowski, who has this team now ranked number 1 in the Division III power rankings. And why is that important? Well, here's why. Because they'll be ranked number 1 and the top seeded team in the Division III tournament, they'll get to host the first few rounds, provided they advance. So it'll be a huge importance to the Wildcats, who will play yet another road game, their 3rd in a row, this week at Natick. So Friday night, if you're available and you can get to Natick, be there, be proud, be loud, man. We'd love to see you out there. But again, a lot to discuss here with my main man, Al Prizzuti. Al, with the, as I mentioned, the football season, a lot of drama unfolding in Foxborough with Bailey Zappi taking the reins of this offense and showing some aptitude for the game, showing some talent for the game, you know, rallying the troops in a big win at Cleveland. And you know what? Are you feeling comfortable with Bailey Zappi as your quarterback over Mac Jones?
Well, I don't know about over Mac Jones, but I will say this. When they talk to everybody, they all say the same thing. The kid is prepared. He comes in, he does his work, and you know, every time you get a situation where somebody really sticks to the plan, comes in and does the work, and they succeed, everybody goes, you know what? The kid is prepared.
Well, you know what? As his confidence grows out,
right,
confidence in him also grows.
Yeah.
And you know what? I got a sense of that during preseason. You know, with all the reps he kept getting, I was more and more impressed with how he handled himself.
I think
his competitive nature, you know.
I think what he does really well, though, is he includes everybody.
Yes.
If you notice that they had 3 receivers that had over 60 yards, he also throws the ball to the running back.
Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson actually is a better receiver.
Yeah.
And he got into a couple of plays where so I think by moving the ball around, everybody gets included. Everybody feels a part of it.
Well, Al, the part that I had been clamoring for, in fact, yelling at the television screen for, was to involve the tight ends more.
Yeah, well,
and against Cleveland, they did. Jonnu Smith with a couple big chunk
Jonnu
plays.
Smith looked like an old-time tight end where he caught the ball and they couldn't bring him down, and then he picked up another 20, 25 yards
like
before they got him. Yeah, which is what they need, and you know,
like a Mark Bavaro. You know, I mean,
there were a lot of guys like Gronk and Bavaro and that catch the ball and then go another right advance. Yeah. So, anyways, I think the question here is, if Jones comes back and he's 100%, I don't know if he is.
I don't think he
if he does come back and they lose convincingly, not a close game because those things, but if they lose convincingly and he's not picking out receivers, then you might see Zappi with a second chance. Now, we talked a little about, is this a Bledsoe Brady deal?
Yeah.
You know, but that comparison has to be taken because it's a similar situation where one goes out hurt.
It's almost like history repeating itself.
It could be. But, you know, I think it's too early to put any credence on Zappi being the quarterback.
But here's a conundrum here for Mac Jones. Mac Jones has to be honest with himself because these type of injuries that he suffered, the high ankle sprain, are nagging type injuries.
Yeah.
They never fully heal until you've got a significant amount of rest and recuperation and rehabilitation done. And if he tries to hurry back because he feels as though his grasp on the job is slipping and he's losing it to Bailey Zappi, then he does himself a disservice.
Yeah, well, I don't.
And the team, because you know what? Now you put yourself at risk and the team at risk.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see him out there until he is honestly 100%.
Well, first of
He
all,
might tell you I'm 100%, but he might be
yeah,
70.
but first of all, the doctors and would come in and say, "Look, I'll give you 100% on this kid," but then when in practice, if they don't think he's
Well,
nimble enough,
oh.
he won't play. I don't think he's as worried as people think because Belichick basically said, "This is my guy."
Well, here's the way to test that nimbleness is that you get him and you do lateral moves, you do front and back, sudden start, sudden stop, because I'll guarantee you he won't be able to do that.
But until you get it, I mean, if he got a team, if the next game that he's in is playing against a team that has a good pass rush, and he gets hit because he's not a mobile guy, he's kind of
Keep him
like
on the
Brady.
sidelines.
I'd keep him on the sidelines. I thought Belichick though said something that was very interesting, and this is where I think Jones better be careful. What Zappi did was he completes the passes and he doesn't make any mistakes. He hasn't thrown an interception. He did have a fumble, but it wasn't his fault.
Right.
So if you remember back before the injury with Jones, he had a couple of plays where he got panicked because of a pass rush and he threw the pass where he shouldn't have thrown it. He should have overthrown. So
Well,
you gotta
in
be
certain
careful with
instances,
that.
though, Al, it was a lack of communication between receiver
Yeah.
and
Oh, no
quarterback, where
question.
the receiver was supposed to run to a spot,
Yeah.
and he's delivering to the spot, but the receiver like either ran a shallow route or didn't hit the route exactly.
The only thing the Patriots need to do, because I think they're 3-3, which is a good deal
Yeah.
based on where they started, is they got to stop the penalties. Boy, they were just brutal even against Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's motion or whatever,
Right.
it negates a good play sometimes. So, anyways, I think Monday night against the Bears, it'll be interesting.
I think it's going to be Bailey Zappi at quarterback. You?
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the sound decision to make.
I think if it's 80%,
He's gotta be
it's not-
100.
He's got to be 100%.
He's gotta be 100.
And they have to watch. I mean, Patricia's going to. Oh no, he's going to be judge. He's going to be watching and saying, you know what? He's still got a little mobility issue,
You
and
can
that's
tell,
not enough.
I mean, the first time back on the field, you could tell he was not 100% at all. At any rate, so as much excitement as there is here for football, I know my friend Al Prizzuti here is even more excited about the start of the Bruins season, coinciding with the start of the Celtics season. The Garden was rocking these past few days with the start of the Bruins, a successful home opener. Jake DeBrusk with a couple of goals, the first and last in a 5-3 win. That the
One of them
Bruins
in
had.
one open net, but
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
he spun
well,
around.
Al, it was like a spinorama.
It was a
you know?
spinorama.
But the
I'll
fact
t-
that
I had my senior moment last night because I forgot that the Bees were on, and if I'm going to watch the Bruins and the Celtics, I'll probably defer to the Bruins,
Al,
and then in between periods flip
you would have pulled
over.
your hair out.
Well, it's kind of interesting in a way. I looked at this; that they had 5 goals, so I think Montgomery needs to be because what they're going to say here is now they're scoring goals, but Swayman gave up 6 goals. They took him out and they put Ullman in at the end. He gave up a goal, but it's interesting again because of the way they diversified. Bergeron had a goal, Pasternak had a goal, Nick Foligno had another
How
goal.
about that one?
A.J. Greer, another goal, and David Krejci.
Of course.
So those are the guys that you, except for Greer and Foligno, you wouldn't expect it to go. Now, the assists were interesting. Bergeron had 2, Pasta had 2, DeBrusk had 2. Coyle had 1, and Lauco had 1.
That's winning hockey, Al.
It is. So when I look at this, and
So you feel encouraged or concerned?
I'm encouraged at the start of the year, it's very, very hard because you don't know where the other teams are.
Yeah.
So when you start to see teams either getting healthy or getting to understand each other on the lines and defensive pairs and whatnot, things have a way of evening out. I think what I like about Montgomery is he's got the defense included in the offense,
Yeah.
okay? Which probably hurt them
them,
last night.
yeah.
Because if the guys make a mistake, they're glaring mistakes.
And they're like recovering to try and cover up those mistakes.
Yeah, well, so then you've got forwards coming back playing defense if a guy on defense gets stuck.
And you
But-
know, this kid Anton Strawman, you know, he's out of the lineup, in and out of the lineup, and
There's two things that I don't understand. First of all, they signed Stroman on the PTO. They signed this kid,
right.
and I think he has he's a
He had some
veteran.
visa- he had
He's
some
been-
visa problems.
But he's not a bad player, and I
No.
think they did the right thing. The thing I don't understand, and I'm not a Nosek fan, is why Nosek is
Paired with him.
centering the fourth line and not Studnicka hasn't played.
Oh yeah.
Now, I noticed the other night when the Bruins, they introduced everybody. Marchand was there in a suit, and Studnicka was there. But I think you either give this kid a chance or get rid of him.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that you either give him a chance. He can't sit upstairs and watch this. He should either be down in Providence
getting
or
some-
you got to
getting
get
some time.
something for him.
Right.
And I think the problem here is that Sweeney would go, this kid was tapped to be Bergeron heir apparent as a center.
Do they
And
still see him paired with Lysell though? Maybe.
now Fabian Lysell, though, is a little different. Fabian Lysell is Pasternak
Yeah.
as a young kid.
Yeah.
If you saw the goal that Pasternak scored the other night when he went right through the
Oh my
defenseman,
gosh, Al! Hey, he like threaded it between the 5-hole of the
picked
defenseman.
it up,
Yeah.
and then snuck it by the goalie. I
Unbelievable.
mean, it's just he's an unbelievably offensive player. I think Fabian Lysell has that opportunity
Yeah.
to come in. Now Beach is doing well down there. Both Lysell and Beach are making Providence a better team,
Yeah.
which helps the big club if Bellino or Lauco or some of
Right.
these guys don't do the job. Anyway, so here I am with my senior moment, and I watch the news at 11 o'clock, and they're showing the Bees get beat, and I'm going, they didn't play tonight. And then I had watched two things.
Yeah.
I watched very quickly, we'll do the Yankee. I watched the Yankees.
Yankees,
Now, that's
Guardians.
a tragedy. I don't know everybody's going to say the pesky pole and everything, but Stanton, that's a fly ball to the one
In
track
any other
at Fenway
part, right?
Park.
Yeah.
That's a 18-row home run in Yankee Stadium.
Right.
They scored 5 runs on 6 hits.
Yeah.
A 3-run homer by Stanton, a home run by
Judge.
All right, 5 runs on 6 hits. Cleveland scored 1 run on 8 hits because they didn't hit a home run.
Right.
So you can see this is Showalter baseball.
Yeah.
Home runs are better than hits.
Right.
And-
Well,
and
Cleveland though will single you to death.
Well, they will, but last night you go with relievers basically.
Yeah.
And who's going to win that game? You're playing in Yankee Stadium.
And Savali didn't go deep for them at all.
And you needed a home run. You need the long ball at that stadium, and they did it. But anyways, the seg to the Celtics, I think was kind of interesting. 2 things for
So
me.
you got to watch that instead of the Bruins.
I did. I watched
Okay.
most of it. What I found, though, let's be honest about it. Jason Tatum and Brown scored 70 points. All
Isn't
right?
that what you want?
If you throw Brogdon in there and you throw, what's his name?
Al?
No.
Marcus?
No. Grant Williams.
Oh.
They
yeah,
scored
yeah.
105 with 126 points.
Yeah.
Those 4 guys. The rest of the guys did very little.
Well, I mean, but Al Horford is capable of scoring. Marcus Smart is capable of
Marcus
scoring.
Smart, yeah.
They have guys that are
Smart
capable
had 14.
scorers.
Brogdon played a good game.
I didn't see Peyton Pritchard at all.
I don't know, but they mentioned it, and I forget what they said. But, Philly, Embiid, I don't know why he just doesn't go to the net all the time.
Because it's hard work.
I understand that, but when he does, you can't stop him.
He doesn't have a face to basket move. He begins his move into the paint with his back to the basket.
Yeah, with his back, but he spins. He did a couple of
But
them
that
last
takes
night.
hard work, and you know what? It takes it out of you after a while. So he kind of balances that with a very effective mid-range jumper.
Yeah.
He's a very good shooter.
Yeah, he is a
So
good shooter.
I mean,
He's a
if
great
he can
player,
if
really.
he can knock down that mid-range jumper, you know, he saves himself having to do the hard work.
But again, it gets down to who you're playing. And against the Seas, okay, going to the basket, he would have scored more points.
Yeah.
Not taking jump shots from 14, 15 feet.
Now, judging from the emotion of the night, with the homage paid to the late Bill Russell, I felt like there's no way, there's absolutely no way the Celtics are losing this game on this night to that team. You know, the Philadelphia 76ers, who Bill Russell, you know, waged war with against a mighty opponent in Wilt Chamberlain. You know, and I just felt, and you know what? And kudos to the Sixers too for wearing the number 6 patch.
Well, the whole league is
honor of
playing it.
And that's kudos to Adam Silver for recognizing the great icon that Bill Russell was and is. You know,
He was
and
incidentally, Adam
remains.
Silver was at Kraft's wedding too. Did you know
Well,
that?
he didn't have far to go. He's in New York, right? Speaking of which, you bring up the point. You know, we'll segue away from the Celtics, but unbelievable. I think this incredible drama that's erupting now with the fact that Tom Brady was at
Kraft's wedding.
wedding.
Yeah, didn't
What's
show
he
up.
doing getting married, by the way?
Well,
That's a subject for another time. But
I give him,
I mean-
because I'm closer to Kraft's age than I am to Dr.
Great.
Blumberg's
Oh.
age. I think it's a good thing. Because I could be,
for him,
I could
and,
be there.
and possibly for her.
Well,
Well, and the thing is that
she's an ophthalmologist, incidentally.
Yeah, so she comes to.
So she had his eye on him.
Oh, that's a dad joke.
Well,
That's a bad dad
That's not a bad
joke.
joke. That's not a. It's a joke, but
It's
we
a dad
can
joke.
Just leave it that
All
way.
right. Anyway, so Brady did not cover himself in glory in that he skipped Friday's practice to get to New York, all right, from Tampa. And then when he could have practiced and taken a private jet to New York, arrived there with plenty of time to get to, you know, the ceremony and reception, and then could have gracefully backed out and then taken a private jet to Pittsburgh, where the Buccaneers were playing on Sunday, so that he could be in Pittsburgh in time to do the walkthrough on Saturday morning with his team. Blew off both. So what happens? Come game time, they're not executing well, you know, and he's lashing out at his offensive line. That's the last group of guys that quarterback should be lashing out at, especially him. Well, especially after he bagged out on a practice and a walkthrough, and then is claiming that it's a lack of execution. Well, you know what? You got to be more invested in the process than he was. And I say, shame on you, Tom Brady, for not trying to hold them up to a standard that you did not hold yourself
Well,
up to. That
notice it was interesting that who didn't show at that wedding was Bill Belichick.
Right.
And if you read the responses, the articles, they had numerous conversation, Belichick and Kraft.
Right, and how he was going
And
to
it
handle
was
it. Yeah.
Belichick who said, I want to be there, and it was Kraft who said, well, maybe you should be with the team. And he said, so we
Because
decided.
you know, I think Kraft probably knew the optics of that.
Well,
would be
so
bad.
then he said, you know, I think that it's probably better if you stick with the team. And he said, I would have loved to have been there. And I think Brady could have done the same thing.
Right.
I mean,
Well, Brady found a way to get there. But I'm saying that if you could have found a way to get there, you could have found a way to get there without any disruption
Well-
to your team's preparation.
well, like you're saying, he got there, but he didn't get with the team.
I suspect he had a little bit too much fun on that Friday night. Woke up a little bit hungover, decided to sleep in, and then got to Pittsburgh, you know,
I
in the
just
afternoon.
don't understand why I wasn't invited.
Oh, how?
I mean, look at-
Unbelievable.
if you
you
look
didn't
at
get
it-
the invite?
Bon Jovi,
I had to send the regrets.
did you?
Yeah.
No, I didn't even get that opportunity. Bon
Well, you know what,
Jovi was
though?
there,
Al, I got to tell you a funny story about something like that. When I was covering the Patriots, a long, long time ago. Patriots are in Denver, and I have high school classmates who live there. So I reached out to them to have a reunion with a couple of them. I hadn't seen them. Annie Hunter and a couple of other classmates, and it was planned. Then I get a call from Stacy James. Bob Kraft would like to invite you to dinner on Saturday night. What are your plans? And I'm like, oh man, Stacy, I'm sorry. I have to send my regrets because I've already made plans with my high school classmates, you know. So when I showed up at the house, you know, for dinner with them, you know, I laughed. I said, you know, I chose you guys over Bob Kraft.
See, and I would have done just
and
the
that's why
opposite.
I wasn't invited, more than likely.
I would have done just the opposite.
You would have gone with
I would have
Kraft.
stiffed my friends and
Oh, no.
gone to the craft.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
No. But we had a great time, and
Anyways, I mean, just a little back to the baseball, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The Yankees now got to play Houston. I hope, and I hate both teams, but I hope Houston beats them because I'm not a Yankee fan.
yeah.
But it is amazing if you look at this that the Dodgers, the
Out.
Mets,
Out.
Atlanta,
Out.
gone.
All the standard bearers of
Well,
the National
I
League.
think Atlanta was a fluke last year. Nobody thought they were going to win it. They did. The Dodgers, everybody thought was going to win it this year. Gone. The Mets, pitching wise, gone.
Al,
Now
though, you
you've
know
got-
what? The Padres have broken the checkbook out
Well, I
to
mean,
get
you've
that
got
team together.
Tatis isn't even playing. I mean, these are their best player.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, so you got the Padres.
I think the NLCS is going to be just as exciting and fun a series.
You think?
The NLCS, yeah.
Who do you think will win it?
I think the Phillies might.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
wouldn't
look at
mind
this.
seeing it.
They already won. They're already up 1-0 in the series. You know, guess who homered in that game, Al?
Oh, I don't know, some kind of chunky guy that played first base,
Yeah,
right
so
field.
they gave him the bums rush here in Boston.
What did he hit, about 40-something
Oh my
home
God,
runs?
he's unbelievable. I love him.
Schwarber and Renfroe combined for about 85 home runs. That's more than the Red Sox hit, I think, all
Combined,
year.
yeah. Oh, no doubt. And then you had Bryce Harper. You know, unbelievable. You know, Bryce Harper has been in contention for more and won more World Series than Mike Trout, and he's like Trout's the highest paid player right now.
I think the Phillies are the underdog, though. I do think. But on the other side, I think that's going to be a pretty good series.
Yeah.
But I do believe Houston's going to win.
Red Sox related question, Al. Are you at all concerned about the fact that there's been no word about whether or not the Sox are really doing their due diligence about re-signing Xander Bogaerts?
Oh, I think I mean, we're not going to hear, but I think there's plenty of conversation about this. I think the issue, though, is you got two of their star players vying for huge contracts. And unless, we know that Martinez is gone.
Correct.
And we probably know that if they sign one or the other, that Evaldi could be gone.
Correct.
So those are two fairly good size.
But do you suppose that they're going
I-
to try to appeal to both of them
I
to
think
get
they
them
want,
into kind of like a cap-friendly number that would give them some long-term security, give them a substantial pay raise to both of them?
I think they got a better shot at that with Devers than they do with Bogaerts. I think Bogaerts really believes that he wants to test the market and get the most money.
Well, you know
now.
who wants them to do that? His agent.
Yeah.
And
Well,
guess
I
whose
mean,
agent
it's a-
is? Boris.
Boris.
Yeah.
But I mean, the issue there is Devers is got a higher potential than Bogaerts because he hits for power. He hits in the clutch. He's a
hitter.
He's the hitter.
Yeah.
The other guy can hit. He had an off season in terms of power.
But you know what though? He brings the intangibles of leadership.
Yeah, I guess he does.
He
but
does.
I don't know.
You know,
if-
and he's a homegrown. They're both homegrown products.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing all these guys they've invested time in right? And some money, walk out the door at the end of their careers. I mean, that happened with Johnny Lester, with Papelbon, with Mookie, Christian Vasquez. You know, they traded him.
Don't put Christian Vasquez in that group. I mean, he's not.
The Babe, come on now.
No, he's lucky. He's with
He's with the Astros. He's going to be winning something,
yeah.
you know.
He made a nice throw to second base the other night. I think it went about 10 feet beyond the pitcher. Jesus.
No, you underrate his athletic ability.
No, I think what I underrate, because I don't know it and I don't see it, was that the players love him.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
you
you
know,
saw that.
that's the other thing with Cora, if we wanted to get into that. My opinion is he's popular because the players like him. I mean, he's had the biggest ups and downs of anybody. He's like on a roller coaster for crying out loud. I mean, even with the Astros, and then he comes here, and then he gets a year's suspension, and then he's here, and then they come in last place.
And then they go to the World Series.
Him and Chaim Bloom, I think, are on their last legs if the Sox lose again.
I think Chaim is on thin ice right now.
Well,
If he does not sign Xander Bogaerts, there will be such an uproar, because who do you bring in? Do you say, okay, we're moving Trevor Story over to short? All right, so now you have a gap at second.
you don't give up that much with Trevor Story and Bogarts, though. Trevor Story's a better athlete, for one thing. Trevor Story will hit for more power. He might not hit
Who
for
was
the
in
average.
the lineup more this year?
Well, yeah, Trevor Story got hurt, but
And I think Bogarts played a little hurt.
Well, a little
quite
different,
often,
though.
but he played in more games.
Baseball is an interesting thing because, look, you get hockey players, they go out, they end up with getting 15 stitches in between periods, they come back and play.
Yeah.
That's a little different than baseball. Baseball, you get a hangnail, you're out for 10 days.
Yeah, J.D. Drew was almost out half the season.
So, I mean, it's a little different. If you can't do certain things with your hands and, you know, you get hit in the elbow and stuff like that, injuries get magnified in baseball. They get demagnified in hockey.
In football.
In
you know,
football.
well, with the exception of concussions. So.
Yeah, well, you see a lot of, I mean, those guys, when they get hit,
Oh, there's some violent
I
collisions.
mean, the way your body is contorted, and how these guys do it, sometimes they jump over guys, they come down, they get up.
It's a car crash.
A lot of people,
It's like being in a car crash.
yeah, it's
man.
amazing.
It's unbelievable. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots fare against the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football here at Foxborough. It'll be interesting to see how the Wildcats make out at Natick on Friday night. A reminder again, the Wildcats will be at Natick to play the Red Hawks, your undefeated 6-0 Milton Wildcats, ranked number 14 in the Globe Top 20 and number 1 in the Division III power rankings. So a lot to be excited about here. And I want to thank my main man, Al Prizzuti, for bringing his expertise and wisdom to the dais. And I want to thank you for spending your time with us here on Stepping Up to the Plate. All righty, everyone. We'll see you later. Take care.